Being successful on eBay all comes down to one single thing, one single factor, and far too many people don't get that aspect of this. Knowing that one single aspect of reselling has allowed us to keep continual fourth quarter sales numbers across the board for months on end, for years as well. We've been at this for a very long time because we figured that aspect out. Hey, it's Don. Today I wanted to talk about the biggest factor that will make you successful on eBay. Now, this isn't a fantasy or anything else like that. This is the real solid truth across the board. I've looked at probably close to 1,000 stores. I've looked at hundreds of stores, their financial numbers. I've seen the breakdowns. It's very obvious the one single aspect of reselling that will give you the best results, the best things, and that's selling the right items. I can never stress that enough. And a lot of people say everything's the same. This method will work to sell anything on eBay or anything else in the world. This is it. And anybody who tells you that, don't listen to them, because that's not how the real world works. Every single item that you sell and every different category you're selling them in has different aspects, different things that happen in those. Perfect example is eBay has different selling fees for different categories. There's a very good reason why what you sell is the most important aspect of anything. Now, you can make money on almost anything, but to be routinely successful day after day, month after month, year after year after year for 30 years, it's the items that you are selling that's keeping it going and growing your business. The items are all that really matters for your business to be successful. Along with those items, you should know the most you can about those items as well. Now, there isn't a right or wrong answer to what you should be selling. What your answer should be is, are your numbers telling you to sell it? Numbers, your numbers for sales, your numbers for what you're selling mean the most to your personal business after you've decided on the items you're selling. The reason we sell what we do, the only reason I sell what I do, pretty much the majority of it, is because it makes us the most money out of everything we've sold through all the history of time of selling as a reseller, and that's more than 30 years. It's just what drives my business. If the numbers aren't there to dictate me messing in a field, or the competition is too great, I'm not making a certain percentage of profit, I'm not going to mess with those numbers. If I figure out that, a postcard or a toy, an action figure, every time I get it, gets me the most profit, I'm gonna go to places that I can find those at more than anything else. I'm gonna load those up in my store at all costs. Anything that's holding and dragging down my store, I pretty much just bump off the list. I might try something new. If it doesn't work or it doesn't have the profit margins, I'm not gonna mess with it anymore.
It's a tight ball game. It's not the difference between day and night, dog and cat, summer and winter. It's difference by a nose. Difference by a shade better formed. It's difference by a fraction of an inch. It's competition, close competition, where just a little more effort counts big.
We sell right now probably about 60 different niches in the store I share here on YouTube. Now, the majority of what I sell now, I didn't used to sell. I've sold clothing and books. We've even sold cars. I sold a $500,000 Prevost for somebody just based on the commission. I've sold a lot of things. I've sold signage and even helped with some real estate. I've done estate sales as the person running it. I used to do antique malls, antique booths. I've played the field, I've done the numbers. A department store, for an example. Every department in that store has a different profit margin, a different means to sell it. Like a clothing store, a department store that sells clothing in one department. If they're not carrying the #1 selling size of jeans or #1 size of shoes, they're already losing out. Everything about their business is based on the individual items that they're selling. It's all broken down by departments so they can see which departments are making them the most money. If a grocery store brings a new item in and it's just backing up and they're not selling it, on a weekly basis they're going to be checking those numbers and they might pull that item out of the store and put something else in there. Shelf space is expensive in a grocery store if you're not familiar with that. Every business in the real world, every brick and mortar business that I've ever worked for or been in or examined or anything else like that, is the same thing. They only sell the most profitable items they can in their store for the most part.
Hey, you keep talking profits. Some guys act like profit is a dirty word.
Profits, my friend, are the money we need to grow on. Nobody stands still these days. If everybody else moves ahead and you just stand still, you're actually falling behind. Just to survive, you gotta grow, and you do it with profits.
Grocery store is a little different because they have to carry certain items or people won't come in the store. Like a truck stop, travel stop. I worked for one for 3 years, a very leading one as a manager at one. They sold gas in some cities that they lost money on. In those cases, it was a strategic measure. They made most of their money in those stores from the leases they did to the restaurants who worked in them, plus the fees that they took off their sales. So they were profitable because of other factors, but they have to have gas to bring those businesses in for the rest of the store. They have national contracts. There's a lot more going on with stuff like that. Now, we sell mostly vintage collectibles and niches in the store we share with you. I do sell RA items, and I do sell wholesale items and stuff directly from some companies. But with the tariffs and all that kind of thing, with COVID in the past, those categories, those areas, pretty much were dying off, and my collectibles were all that mattered. And we made more money during COVID than I ever have in my entire life, just because of the items that I sell. When there's a downturn or there's been recessions in the past, throughout the last 30 years of me reselling, we've always done well because the items that we sell, vintage, collectible, antiques, niches, are items that are expendable income items in the first place. No one needs any of the items that I am selling. Expendable income for people who have extra money that just blowing it or spending it on things. I've sold things for thousands and thousands of dollars, one single 45 for over $4,000. I would never in my life spend more than $10 on a record. I'd just download an MP3. I don't care about the disc. I like the music. I burn most of the records that we sell, but I personally would never spend that kind of money. I'd buy a dirt bike or something new off the shelf or something if I was going to blow that kind of money, or invest it in property or something. I sure as heck wouldn't spend it on a record. I get it. I do collect things. There's a ton of stuff in the building that, again, we've earned through reselling, but point being, again, my numbers tell me what to sell. They tell me where to go to source stuff. If I'm going to the same place and I'm keeping track of what I'm getting and the profits and stuff, and I'm not making anything from a certain place, or it's so dismal of a result, I'll go somewhere else from that point on. Everything about your business should be based on your numbers, and your numbers should lead you to actually the best items for you. There is no one way to run a business. There is no one specific thing to sell. Anybody who tells you that their method is the only method that works is lying to you right off the bat. There is no one method that works for everybody. Knowing the best items to sell is the best thing to do, but there's no method for me to tell you for every person how to figure that out. You've just got to see your numbers. That's not a cop-out or anything. That's just factual. That's what corporate America does. And they do it because it makes them more money. That's what Wall Street does. That's why Wall Street tumbles when there's uncertainty in the markets, when there's no predictability in the markets. That's why announcements of things can tumble them overnight, because the predictability is gone. That's what everything is based on. They know that this sells for this amount usually, and profit margins go up to this percentage. This store, this business sells certain items that they have higher profitability, and on and on and on. The merchandise coming in doesn't cost this much or only cost that much, or they can get it from here and not have to worry about import fees or anything else like that. It all matters. Every little aspect of your business matters for the same reason. Right now, with all the turmoil in the markets and everything else going on and uncertainty and woes and stuff, we're still doing 5 digits across the board. Basically, fourth quarter numbers still right now, right today. No issues. We slumped off a hair for a few days when announcements were made, and then it's right back up. Again, my items that I sell, I picked because they don't have that big downturn for summer. The items that I sell are the reason. It's not, some major magic power that I have. It's actually the ability to know by my numbers where I'm making the most money on, figuring out where I can get those items again and keep, bringing new ones in. It doesn't matter that they're one-offs. One-offs mean nothing. at one point, the last time I looked on eBay, it was just under 40% of everything selling on eBay are one-offs, or, you know, collectibles, vintage, and stuff like that, antiques. You know, the other 60% are new and home goods and clothing and things like that. Now, those aren't numbers saying 60% of sellers, 60% of sales. It may only be 5% that are doing half of the sales that aren't collectibles and antiques, though. It might be the 5% that's corporate America counts on the site. The other 10% may be the reselling aspect of it. You know, again, the numbers are where everybody should run their business by. Your numbers are what matters to you. You should know your expenses. You should be able to cut your expenses and rely on the items that you are selling. The biggest myth and the biggest thing on cop-out I personally hear is that eBay is too expensive. Their fees are outrageous. They're crazy. Go back probably less than a decade ago, we were paying $1,500 a month for 15 or 20,000 less listings than we have up right now. $1,500, that was the list fees just to list 20 some odd thousand items back in those days. Because you only got 10,000 free listings with any store at a reasonable level, and it was 5 cents per listing every single month after that. So, you know, 10,000 listings times 5 cents, 20,000 listings times 5 cents. Right now I pay $59.99 on eBay. It's not eBay's fees. It's not the fees at all. I pay $1,500 less. Really in the $15,000 a year less right now. This is factual. You can go look up the information on eBay. This comes from when they added the ZIFs, zero insertion fees, maybe a decade ago. It's been so long since they've had this, I'd have to really go down and check our logs. I write that stuff down. I always have, just so I know where business was back then. Your business, if you've done this for a while too, your business for, you know, years of doing it is data that can help you figure out what's going on. Some items that eBay has done us for that they flagged unintentionally or intentionally, the risk of selling them wasn't worth the amount of money that we would get out of them. So we just pull stuff down and put them somewhere else where I don't have that issue. I may sell less, but at the end of the day, I'm actually making more money when I do stuff like that. Again, it's the items, me watching them, the profits on them. You know, and I don't sell everything on eBay too, because eBay isn't the one for all place to sell everything. We make far more money on items, specific items, selling them on Amazon. We do make more money on many different items on other platforms, so those items usually go to other platforms these days. Now, one more thing I wanted to touch on with listing fees. It's not the fee. If it's the fee for you at $59.99, you would have never survived in your wildest dreams back when it was, you know, 1,000 times more expensive. I mean, it was just horrendously more expensive back in the, you know, less than a decade ago. It used to cost us $15,000+ extra a year. Any big reseller who's been out a long time will tell you the exact same thing. That's exactly what happened when they gave us tens of thousands of free listings. It meant I never had to pay again for those 5-cent ones. $59.99 a month is the cheapest game in town. Now, the other aspect that I hear people who don't understand business complaining about is, why on earth would you ever want to have 40,000, 100,000 listings up? We have altogether at least 100,000 listings when you add them all up across multiple platforms. Millions of dollars in list price is what's up in our stores. Why would I ever want to, you know, keep all that up? Well, let's look at this from a different angle for just a second here. If I built a house, spent the money to buy all the stuff, spent the money to build the house, and then I just decided, well, I didn't do anything with it, let me just tear it down. That's the same principle on why I don't remove the listings. I've invested in them. I've spent the time to list them, photograph them, figure out policy or whatever other things going on with them to get them up. If they don't sell in the first week, 10 days, a month, 2 months, a year, 10 years, I don't care. I make money on so many other things because I have volume in the items that I sell, in the categories that I sell in. Volume is another thing that can overrule other factors, but again, it has to be the right items to begin with. I don't buy an item based on it selling immediately anymore either. I do long tail because I can afford to do that these days. I can afford to wait a little longer and get more money out of my items so I can do less work, sell less items, but still make more money than other folks selling basically similar items.
Well, take yourself. You can make the difference between a loss and a profit.
Me?
Hard for you to see, huh?
Again, I pick items that are in non-flooded categories to begin with, antiques and collectibles. The competition is almost zip for any item I sell. So again, I'm picking items that will give me the best benefit to you know, the most profit, I should say. I also sell multi-category items because they'll give me a bigger profit. There'll be more people interested in them. You know, I also sell multiple items to the same person on a constant basis. I have repeat business on a constant basis, again, because of what I sell. These are the reasons why I do so well and I'm able to do things, because I've figured out what makes us money, what can continue our business growing. And I've done nothing but grow my business, reselling business specifically, you know, through these actions, knowing the best things to sell, knowing what's wasting my time and tossing it to the side as well. I'm very business focused in this aspect of my world. That's what means the most to me. I used to be in corporate America, as I said. I was an assistant, I was a general manager in about a year's time, and then I was a regional manager in about 2 years' time from starting with the very first company I did that with. Because the numbers drove everything that I did. I knew the numbers. It meant more to me than anything else in there. Numbers to me run everything. They determine my items to sell. I can't tell you what to sell. Any other YouTuber out there telling you you sell what they sell and you're going to be rich, it doesn't work that way. If you think you're going to be filthy rich and a millionaire doing reselling, you should give it up right now, because that's just a fantasy world. You know, I'm just being honest with you. That's just a fantasy world. I have no fantasies or thoughts about being a millionaire or being filthy rich. I just care about being comfortable, being able to take care of my family, and being happy while I do it. And if it means I'm making good money and I've got enough money to do it, that's fine. That's all I care about. Money's not going to change who I am, or, you know, how things are with me or my family or anything else like that. We've survived on very little money. We've been a tighter family because of it, and I don't have any need or want to be some rich millionaire. I wouldn't fit in with those folks to begin with. It's not my world. It's not what drives me. My family and my love for them and stuff is all that matters to me. And if I'm happy with what's going on, I'm happy in this world, I guess I would say. You know, it's up to you on what you do with this information, but it all comes down to that. I've done this for 3 decades. Going back even farther than that, when the original Star Wars came out, I was trading one of the cards that they needed for the trading card sets for 2 of theirs. And I was able to just pretty much end up trading with everybody on the block. I finished my sets, they finished theirs, and at the end of the day, I had a profit over it. Wasn't reselling back then, but I've done this type of thing since I was a kid. It made sense. This is what makes sense to me. This is my whole life, and this is who I am. I am a reseller, first, foremost, and last. I do videos about it because I like talking about it. I like the experiences. I like the stuff that I sell. Find it weird, find it kooky, whatever. This stuff makes us a lot of money. I make more money selling the antiques and collectibles than I did in the stock market. And I paid attention. I never lost on the stocks, but this makes us more money. Every single thing I have, I've earned through reselling. Everything. I couldn't do that in the stock market at all. Wouldn't happen. You know, I would have to have invested a ton of money. I'd have to be rich to start with to get to the same level that I'm at right now. So I don't mess with stocks. I don't mess with stuff that doesn't make me money. And this has made us money for decades. The same stuff, the exact same stuff. If you're selling NOS and stuff like that, as I said earlier, those change constantly. You could end up getting stuck. Tariffs could come in and sink that business. So this stuff is solid. It's been solid forever. Corporate America, when COVID came in, started investing in high dollar trade cards, comic books and autographs, entertainment collectibles and things like that. And their portfolios are heavily invested, even still to this day, with these items. When there's uncertainty in the market, they pull it elsewhere. Since COVID happened, the prices of the stuff that I currently sell has increased across the board because of issues like that, because of Wall Street money. And Wall Street doesn't just throw their money around. They want to know for sure their return on their investment is going to be there. The return on our investments with the antiques, collectibles, and niches that we sell is there, has been there, and has no signs of going anywhere else. If I was selling home goods when people aren't going to want to spend money on new shoes and things like that, I wouldn't be making good money. If I was private branding something, I wouldn't be making good money. If I'm RAing around here, it's slim. There are some. Once in a while I get to get some real good RA items, but I couldn't live off that. I couldn't. Wholesale, same thing. The profit margins are slim when you're doing wholesale. Unless you're a big company or a huge business, you're not going to make a fortune off that. You could sell $200,000 worth of wholesale merchandise and only make $10,000 or $15,000 at the end of the day. You know, that's consideration. Volume, though, as I said, outrules any of those other aspects or issues for us. So even if the season is down or it's in the middle of summer, the people that buy our stuff, they still buy it all year round. They're collectors. They don't stop collecting because the weather changes or because it's raining or sunny. If there's something they need to fill the collection, it doesn't matter. They're just going to do it. They're going to fill the collection. The more expensive, the more valuable the collectible for us too, the easier it is to sell for top dollar. The rare stuff always sells for top dollar. That's hard to do in the real world when you're talking about clothing or home goods or high-end electronics and stuff, you know, NOS, new stuff. It's not the same structure. There is no comparison. It's like comparing a grocery store to an Apple store. It can't be done. They're not even on the same level. Even though they both sell Apple stuff, it's not the same thing. And too many people, again, rank it across the board. It's all the same. They'll tell you how to do this or tell you how to do that. Your numbers should be telling you that. And if they're not looking at your numbers to determine that for you, you're talking to the wrong person. But anyway, that's honestly it for today. I honestly and sincerely hope that helps you. Think about that. Think about those aspects of your business. You know, take it seriously. Most people who are resellers do not have a business background and don't get or think a lot of the stuff I talk about is useless information. But it's made me who I am, those aspects, those parts of business. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified if I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell all your friends.
One-guy operation. And I'm the guy.
You're the guy.